Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about a sentimental movie to me, and I'll get into that, but first I want to make a little disclaimer. I've been getting a lot of requests for certain movies in the comments to add to this segment. Now, I acknowledged those movies, but a little foreshadowing, they're going to be in a separate segment. So if you see movies that aren't in this segment that you're like, why wouldn't you review that for this segment for haunted house horror? It's like the classic, typical type that you would review. I have my reasons. So if I'm missing one in this segment, at the end you're like, where'd they go? There's a reason for it, and they will be in their own segment. That's a little foreshadowing, but the one I'm specifically referring to will be in a few months, so I apologize if you're looking for those reviews, and comment if you know which kind of segment I'm talking about. So today we're talking about 13 Ghosts, and this is one, like I said, is sentimental. The reason is, when I was younger growing up, I'd like to say that I was always obsessed with horror, and I was to an extent. I read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Stephen King, Goosebumps, all those books growing up. Once I saw Pet Sematary, it freaked me out, but I liked it. But looking back, there were certain movies that I tended to avoid, this being one of them. And the reason is I thought it was going to be so scary that I wouldn't be able to handle it, so I avoided it for the longest time. And I remember my best friend, when I would go over to her house and spend the night, we would sleep in her sister's bed, and on the ceiling she had a poster of this lovely face of all the ghost things in it. And I just remember laying awake at night and staring at it, trying to go to sleep, and I couldn't. It's one of those things where I couldn't look away, but it terrified me at the same time. So I guess I'm the same way with horror. I'm just a little bit more fascinated by it. I guess I've built up, you know, a thicker skin when it comes to horror, and a tolerance, a certain kind of tolerance to some horror, so yeah. So when I finally watched this, I realized how much I really liked it. It's kind of like an ode to House on Haunted Hill and the original with William Castle from 1960, but this is also a remake of another movie from 1960 called 13 Ghosts, and I didn't know it was an original, but it's a remake. So it's kind of, it says on the back it's a remake of the William Castle Haunted House film, but the producers from that film also produced this movie and wrote for it, which I thought was pretty cool. So the writer of this, I forgot his name, he worked on House on Haunted Hill and on this one, so I thought it was appropriate. So let me tell you a little bit about this plot. Basically, Cyrus Criticos dies, and he leaves all his estate and this house to his nephew Arthur and his two children, whose mom died in a fire. So they go to the house to check it out, and they bring a lawyer with them just to finalize everything, do some paperwork and whatnot to sign over the house to them, and they're kind of roaming around, and then they get locked in. And it just so happens the electrician guy who shows up at the house is actually there for a different reason, and that's Matthew Lillard. I love Matthew Lillard. He's awesome. He's Shaggy in Scooby-Doo, in case you don't know. I mean, I figure everyone uses that reference, but that's who he is. So he plays this electrician, but he's really a ghost. What is it called? What is it called? I don't know. He can see ghosts. He takes this medication to take the edge off, but yeah, so he basically helped Cyrus in his mission of collecting ghosts. So in Arthur's possession now are 12 ghosts that are in the basement, and they're all contained using this like Latin spell that's engraved on all the glass. That's another thing, this whole house is made entirely of glass. So it's really crazy. I didn't really like the house that much. I thought it would have been better had it been like a classically creepy house, but I guess special effects and everything worked, and it was kind of cool. That's one thing about this movie, is the special effects was absolutely breathtaking. I loved it. The music, everything about it was spectacular. So I guess Cyrus had planned this whole thing to open up the entrance to hell, and so you need 13 ghosts as like a sacrifice to open up the portal to hell, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember like the whole backstory behind Cyrus's work. That's just kind of what I remember. If you watch it, you'll get it. But basically, people end up going down into the basement, seeing the ghosts. You need special kind of goggles to see the ghosts. But I'm going to talk about the ghosts because they're my favorite part of the movie, and why wouldn't they be? It's called 13 Ghosts, and the 13 ghosts are my favorite. So the 12 ghosts that are contained within the basement all have their own individual backstory. It doesn't go into it in the movie, but the thing about the DVD, you can probably find it on YouTube as well. They have in the special features section all the backstories to every single ghost, and those are amazing. The ghosts in this movie are so terrifying. I'll tell you my should I say least favorites, but my favorites that scared me the most. The Jackal. Oh my gosh. When the Jackal is like coming after Shannon Elizabeth and like, oh, that one freaks me out. He's basically, I think, a cannibal that eats everything, and he's like eating through his little cage that they put on his head so he would stop eating things. And he's just like this mad serial killer. So that is awesome. What else? Who else? The Angry Princess. Her makeup actually takes the longest, which I thought the Juggernaut would take the longest because it's so, there's so much to it. It's so complex. But with all the cuts and everything, the Angry Princess does take longer. And another thing about the special features on this DVD is you can watch the makeup for the Juggernaut, and that is one of my favorite things in the world to watch, is the special effects, special features on the DVD is awesome. Again, you could probably find it online. You don't need to own it. I do because it's one of my favorites, one of my favorite movies. It's really hard to pick ghosts that really freak me out from this one because they all do. The big baby one scares me a lot with his mom, but he's like older. That one's really creepy. Yeah, it's a creepy, creepy movie. Do I get scared by it now? No, because I've seen it so many times. It definitely is entertaining still for me to watch, but it's not one that like really scares me anymore because I've seen it a million times, and you know, the ghosts I'm kind of desensitized to now. But everything about this movie is really entertaining. I really recommend it if you haven't seen it. I feel like a lot of people have seen this movie though. It came out in 2001, and I just think it's really good. It's probably a classic in my book, even though it's somewhat recent in order to be considered a classic, but I don't know. I mean, I would say that it's not the best plot. I'm not like a huge fan of the plot, but I'm definitely a huge fan of all the ghosts. And the tagline, in case you couldn't see, says misery loves company. So this one was a cheap review for me because I didn't actually have to watch anything, but last night I didn't end up watching a movie, so I thought I would do one that I've already seen. There are a few in this segment that I've already seen because this is, again, one of my favorite genres of horror, so that's why I'm gonna have some that are kind of cheats for me. But my next one I'm hoping to do will be really, really exciting. So look forward to that. I'm really, really excited to watch this movie that I'll be reviewing next. You don't even know. I'm so stoked for it. But I will have the trailer to 13 Ghosts down below as usual in case you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, I'm not sure where you've been because it's an age-old movie in my opinion. So definitely watch the trailer if you haven't seen it to see what it's all about. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.